like to bring the Munhall Borough Council meeting of December 20th, 2022 in order. Mr. Floyd, would you start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Seth, would you like to start the roll call?
President Brennan.
Here.
Ms. Fry. Mr. Hanna.
Here.
Mr. Rondo.
Here.
Mr. Stein.
Here.
Mr. Bodadian. Here. Mr. Junkins.
Here.
Mayor Pulse.
Here.
All present, sir.
Thank you. So at this time, we'd like to take a moment and have a little special recognition. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Councilman Bodadian. Rich, if you'd like to start with your presentation, you certainly have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'll read
Council wants to recognize Ed Fletch on the years of service that he did for the borough, and that was well appreciated, what he did, and since he's gonna be gone, I guess everybody hates to see it, but if Mr. Seth would read the accommodation.
So, Borough of Munhall, County of Allegheny, Pennsylvania, Commendation Distinguished Service Award for Edward Pletch. Whereas volunteer community service is an integral part of the operation and spirit of the Borough of Munhall, and whereas we honor those who generously give their time and talents to improve their communities, and whereas the volunteer fire service is a crucial part of the safety of the citizens of Munhall, and whereas Chief Ed Pletch, a lifelong resident of Munhall and 38-year member of the volunteer fire service in Munhall, and whereas Chief Pletch has dedicated his professional and volunteer career to the fire service, beginning as a volunteer with Munhall Volunteer Fire Company No. 4. And whereas Chief Pletch has served Munhall as a battalion chief, deputy borough fire chief, and most recently as borough fire chief from 2015 to 2022. And whereas the Borough of Munhall wishes to express their sincere appreciation to Chief Pletch for his loyalty to the Borough of Munhall and wish him much happiness as he begins the next career of his chapter. Now, therefore, the Council of the Borough of Munhall, in appreciation of Ed Pletch's devotion and service to the borough, desire that it should be a permanent record of gratitude for his community service.
Thank you. I'm honored.
And for the past 16 years, he's been involved with Deputy Chief of the Borough and Chief of the Borough for the past 16 years. So we really appreciated that and the good service that he did for Munhall Borough. I want to present this to you on behalf of Munhall Council and myself. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Ed. Hey Ed, don't sit down yet. So, on behalf of myself and Brian, your deputies, we wanted to thank you for all your time you've given us and the training. And on behalf of all the fire companies, we wanted to get you something special also. We want to present this to you for you all, and you may read it if you so wish.
Presented to Fire Chief Edward Pletch, 20 years in grateful appreciation for your service dedicated to the service of the Munhall Bureau of Fire and the citizens you selflessly serve. Presented by Glenn Coles, Deputy Chief, Brian Verbanek, Deputy Chief. December 20th, 2022. Thank you. I'm touched.
I'd just like to add one thing. There's not been a more dedicated person to the fire department and to the people of Munhall than Chief Pletch. Thank you, Chief.
My pleasure.
All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Chief, for 1 minute.
Thank you. Unfortunately, this is my last council meeting. No, I will miss this. And I very, very much enjoyed and appreciate you guys following me as your leader there for so long. And I appreciate everything you guys have done. Special thanks to my deputy chiefs. You think some of you guys had to pull up with my crap? You should have been them too. So, did the best I could. Now, one of the things that we don't do enough of is recognize firefighters for their years of service, for things they do. We just don't do enough of it. Part of leadership and part of being a good leader is recognizing those around you. And I had the opportunity to present Rich Vodadan with the 55 years of service not that long ago. We've done Lenny Coles, and these guys are staying active in the fire service. There's plenty of firemen that grow old and put in 50 years and don't really do anything, but Rich and Lenny Coles were active. And tonight we have another member that we'd like to thank for his 50 years of service to the Borough of Munhall, effective about a month ago, put in 50 years. Those of you that are in the fire department know this man intimately. He makes about 95% of the calls and has done so for the last 50 years. I went back and I wanted to get a number and put a number on it, and I ran out at about 10,000. I stopped counting. Okay, so if you figure we do about 500 calls a year. Bob makes about 90% of those. Bob Floyd. We really, really wanted to thank you for all those years of service. It's been mentioned that I've been dedicated, and that there's other people in here that is dedication to the fire department. Nobody more so than Bob Floyd over the years. I learned a lot about how to be a fireman from watching Bob represent the fire department and himself. And leadership is not necessarily the guy that runs down the street holding the banner saying, "Follow me." Leadership to me is a way that you live your life in such a way that other people look at it and they respect that, and you live as a good person, and you help other people around you at all times. And Bob, you have done that my entire life since I've known you, since you joined the fire department. PJ? Bob, could you come up here? I want to give you something. So, we'd like to present you with this 50 years of service. And just so everybody knows, if you've probably had a fire or had the fire department at your house in the last 50 years, there's a 95% chance Bob has been there to help you. Okay? He is basically our fire department's professional daytime driver. He's never had a major accident. Every fireman that's ever been on the engine with him or a vehicle with him has gotten to and from the fire safely. It's the #1 priority. We could go on about cigars and 6 cigar fires and 1 cigar fires, but we won't. So this is presented to Bob Floyd in grateful appreciation for your 50 years of service, dedicated to the residents of Munhall, the Still Valley, and the Munhall Borough Fire, presented December 20th, 2022. You deserve that.
Well, I have known him all his life, and I think it started when I was going to throw you in the grave for giving me a hassle at the fire hall.
You can never catch me.
But honoring the fire chief tonight, I've been through, I think, 8 fire chiefs, including Rich, Len's father. Anyhow, you got some big shoes to fill. I'm very proud of the work that he's done, and I thank you for this and for being there for me too, because I appreciate every one of you. When I scream at you because you did something I didn't like, it's out of love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I have to recognize Mr. Hornick, I should say Judge Hornick, is, please.
Judge, thank you for coming.
Mr. Mayor. I don't know, I used to be a state certified fire instructor, and it was his encouragement that put me to do those kind of things. And so I'm sorry to interrupt your meeting, but
No
I have to
interruption.
recognize. Sit.
Go on. Go on. Good? No, you don't have to. Okay. All right.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We all do know that we have one of the finest fire departments in western Pennsylvania, and it's all volunteers. And every fireman, we thank you for your service. We hear the sirens go, and I know that you guys are moving. Thank you. So as president of council, we're looking forward to a new year. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. Please be careful traveling around. It's a busy, hectic time. We're having a big snowstorm coming this weekend, and I'm sure that our street crew will be out there. We do have one of the finest street crews out there as well. Thank you, Bob, for your service as well. These two entities, parts of Munhall Borough, are so appreciated by council and by the residents. We can't thank you enough. Thank you again. Moving forward into 2023, my personal challenge to myself this coming year is going to be to repurpose our municipal building that we have next door. We cannot let that go into disarray. It is too much of an iconic building for our town. I think everyone feels that way. I'm going to work hand in hand with our borough council and our borough manager, and I invite the public to help as well and give us your 2 cents. Certainly, we have a fire department there, and we certainly are not going to let that fire department struggle there. We intend to maintain that fire department and keep everything the status quo as to what it should be. That's going to be my main priority this coming year. So I welcome any help from council or the public. There's several other things that we need to address, but we can address them later. I'm going to yield the floor now to the mayor. Mayor, do you have a report or anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, we got a few things here. One, we have COVID test in the back on the table. Anybody needs a COVID test, feel free to grab some. If we run out, I can bring more out. They came from Allegheny County. Allegheny County has offered to give us some free COVID tests, and we've been taking as many as they can give us. We are also sworn in last Tuesday a new officer in Munhall, James Miller. He will be starting on the 27th, so that helps our police force out a little bit more. We added a new officer. Still Valley Enterprise Zone has 2 appointments that are up, so that's probably hopefully be covered in January.
We're going to do it tonight. It's on the agenda.
Okay, and Munhall Cares had a really good event here last week. They had pictures with Santa, and the president of Munhall Cares is here tonight, Shannon Katanic. And it's an organization that is really just out there to do good things in this borough. With the youth, with the children, and all are invited to attend at any time. Shannon, did you want to address, say anything to the council?
I mean, the more people we can get to attend, plus the council members, that would be fabulous. So, you know, that we're not a fly-by-night, you know, just group of people that will be gone in a week. We really want to do a lot of things for the community. I recently sent out a letter to all of you in reference to a free store that we want to open here. So we're really looking forward to doing things for the community and being a go-to for the community members with things that they need.
And we've started the process of getting a 501(c)(3). So we've been raising some funds, and we've, a little funds where we can do to help things now, but we plan on doing a lot more.
January will be a big month for us. I think we'll get a lot of stuff done, and I mean, if you guys are willing, I'm perfectly willing to email you and tell you everything that's going on with the group. Like I said, we want to be here to stay and help the community.
Thank you, Chip.
Anything else, Mayor?
No, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Solicitor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just one item of interest tonight, and people probably aren't paying attention to it anymore, but the railroad spur crossing on East Waterfront Drive that comes from the tracks and leads into the old Bristol Metals has been repaired. That was a temporary repair. We had a conference, a preliminary conference before a hearing with a representative from the Public Utility Commission, who is the legal body in charge of railroad crossings and railroad tracks. And we did identify finally Union Railroad, who accepted responsibility and ownership for the tracks. So we're attempting to negotiate a resolution whereby the tracks will be removed at their expense, and then we can continue with the paving and finally complete that section of the road. So far, things look good. The way we're going, we're going to have another conference probably in the third week of January. I'll report at that time, but that's where we are. Just wanted to give an update because that is only a temporary repair. The bed underneath those tracks is likely to subside again, causing more problems. The only way to make a permanent repair is to remove the tracks that are not needed. So I'll keep council and the public updated on that as it progresses. That's all I have.
Are we seeking any reimbursements for that repair that we've done?
We are seeking that. There's been some resistance, I can tell you, from the PUC representative, who will be part of the board, said typically the PUC will hold the railroad responsible for removal of the tracks and restoration of the bed area, but because they own the tracks and didn't do the repair, not likely that that would be awarded to us. So there's no hearing yet, but that's kind of some insight into how the PUC is ruled in similar cases. So that's going to be more of a challenge. We've asked for it, and I'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Borough Manager?
My report's on file from last week. December has been all about finishing up the budget, making sure that we finish the year in a much stronger position than last year, and that we are set up for January 1st with the new budget and ready to move forward. Things such as looking at the new borough build, or at repurposing the borough building, and the other pieces that we've talked about.
Yes.
Rebuilding the infrastructure and using this to make a stronger future for us.
Thank you. Borough Engineer?
Thank you. You all have a copy of my report as well, and my main update is just that we're closing out a few different projects. The wall repair that has been brought up a couple times was completed this week and is being evaluated for approval. And then I think we will be supporting the borough on developing some specs and drawings for the DCNR Parks project coming up, and that's everything. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something to that. Since the RAC P grant has been a consistent topic, I did email council. We did get our final skill cert in today, so that has been fully submitted to the state, and we now wait for them to process so we can receive payment. But from our end of things and engineering, the grant is closed out.
That's awesome news. Thank you. Public Works Chair and Supervisor, Bob, do you have anything you'd like to bring to our attention?
8 of the 9 salt trucks are ready to go, so we should be in good shape.
Thank you. Thank you. Police Chief?
Thank you, Mr. President. Police Department answered 699 calls for the month. We've made 17 adult arrests 7 juvenile arrests for a total of 24. We wrote 19 non-traffic citations and 27 traffic citations. As the mayor said, Officer Miller starts next week, Tuesday, December 27th, the 3 to 11 shift. We were able to get a bulletproof vest for Duke, and it was donated through Project Cause, which is in Miami, Florida. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief, will you be golfing next weekend? I mean, do you have a report for us?
Not in the snow. Yeah, I do. Actually, thank you. We responded to 44 emergency runs in November. 4 of those were appreciable fires. There were no reported injuries of any substance. Our response time remains about 6 minutes and 43 seconds, which is well below the national average. So you get a fire truck or a piece of fire equipment in front of your facility that's on fire pretty quick here in Munhall. Totally, we put in about 1,500 hours, man hours in November. And additionally, there were a couple other things, but number 4's fire engine, 203 engine's been, what do we know about the generator on that? Have you heard anything about that, Seth? The part was stolen?
The part's in, they found it.
Okay.
I talked to Dan.
Good enough for me, as long as it's all where that's.
I'll be working on it right after the first of the year.
Okay. That ends my report. Does anybody have any questions for the fire department? So I'll finish with this. It's Christmas time. If you have a real tree in your house, please make sure it's watered. Please water it every day as it gets dry this time of year fast. Make sure you're not plugging in 10 extension cords. We've already had one house fire with that this year caused by that. So we don't want another one. It's a very dangerous time of year. So just be aware of your homes and what you're doing, and let's try to make my next 2 weeks a quiet one. I appreciate that. As I said earlier, it's been an honor to serve, and I very much appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chief. Code Enforcement Officer?
Yeah, you have a copy of my report. The only thing I have to add is Urban Air just recently opened up on the waterfront, and Checkers Rallies was trying to open by this week, but they're not going to meet that deadline. So
Okay.
hopefully in a couple weeks they should be opening up.
Okay. Finance Chair?
Well, good news. Going in tracking in November, we are still tracking to meet our obligations for 2022. We have even better news, what Seth just said earlier, which will help us in 2023. That is $1 million essentially right there. That this is the RACP grant for this building that we've been fighting now for almost a year right there. So we're going to finally get paid. So that's good news, and we'll be talking about budget tonight and other items dealing with finance. So it'll be a good discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Anything from the Sewer Authority, Dave?
Yeah, we're just we're getting ready to finish construction up there. We're going to be opening up beginning of the year. Insight has completed the efficiency repairs on the trunk lines that we have to transfer to Elkasan. And they wanted us to repair them before we transferred.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next part of our meeting, approving the minutes from the November meeting. We need a motion.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We also need a motion for the December 13th, 2022 council meetings. We need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any speakers on the agenda tonight? No speakers? Okay. Any public comment?
I can make a public comment if I may.
Certainly.
Hello, my name is Don Lesser. I'd like to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I thank you for letting me speak. I know it's only a few minutes allotted, but I just want to start out about the budget and the tax increase. I moved here in '63, I was 3 years old. I'd like to continue to be a lifelong resident in Munhall, but what I'm looking at is you've taking an increase of 1.5, and in the same calendar year, you want to go another 1.5. So an average house in Munhall is $100,000. So $100,000 looks like it's going to be $300 at the end of the fiscal year for that tax. Now, I strongly disagree with that. I'd like to recommend a no vote in favor of not in favor of the tax increase, and or you guys, as far as not voting, maybe abstaining from the vote, as I don't think that that's a proper thing. I think we should go through the 1.5 and see where that gets us, and then maybe do the 1.5 over. The other thing is when we were at 10.75, that library tax was also included in it. So now it's a sideline and it's added on. So it's kind of like, to me, it's about the shell work. So I thank you. I yield the rest of my time to anyone else.
So I'd just like to ask you a question.
Sure.
How do you figure it's 1.5 and 1.5 in the same year?
We just went with the old council, or the other council went with the 1.5.
That was last year.
Right. So back now,
last year and
this year, you're going to do
this year is
1.5.
is a new year.
All right. So the year after that, we're going to go 1.5 again?
I hope not. Certainly hope not.
I'm just saying it's, how you look?
I'm Jim Bark. Adam talked about, Mr. Lesser talked about, is in this community, I know a long time ago, there was a study done by an independent group. And unfortunately, I couldn't find it, but right on the page of the Daily News, Munhall needs to rein in its spending. Obviously, Munhall has the mentality to tax and spend. And I think he's right. What have we done to try to save a buck? We hired another policeman. What is the $600,000 paving? There's a fancy name in the budget for it. Why don't we call it what it is? Does anybody know what that is?
Sure, we know what it is.
What is it?
So the $600,000 that you're talking about in the paving is part of a contractual agreement that was given to us by the last council to pave the parking lot up
I know.
here.
But why don't we call it what it is in the budget?
It's a paving.
Yeah.
It's not paving.
It's
But
paving.
what it's for, and, you know, I can remember, and I was in a lot of the meetings about this building. And there was a lot of number fudging to make it look like we got no problems paying for this thing. Well, 1.5 mil tax increase. Most of the problems are all tied to this building.
Sure they are.
And cost, and future cost. There was never a plan to do anything with the old borough building.
Correct.
I'm glad to see we decorated it. And I have a real issue with that. The last council has done something to this borough that's unthinkable. They financially has run us into the ground. We talk about tax increases. I get around a lot, and I grew up here all my life. I was born in a hospital over there, wherever it's at. And I look and I go, boy, there's a lot of places that could use a little fixing up. And I come to the conclusion, why? People just can't afford it. You just can't afford it. Who knows what the school district's gonna do? I can remember the sewer authority, when they doubled our, the minimum charge, that was only temporary. But they choose to go spend $500,000 on a building that we thought, why don't they rent space from the borough? I think that's insult to injury, to be honest with you. You could call it authority, it's still a cost to the taxpayers of this borough. And somebody, and I don't think we should increase the taxes until somebody does a better explanation of what's going on.
Well, we've been here, we've had many meetings, we've talked over the budget.
Unfortunately, what happens is we don't have no paper, nobody.
The budget has been out for approval.
And I looked at it the other day, first time, how many people do you think really have the time to really scrutinize the budget. You really?
It was advertised last week for the meeting.
Hey, Rich, you know, people, the average
Not
person.
not one person was here.
But
Not
that
one.
doesn't mean the taxpayer has instilled in this council to watch out what's best for this community and its residents.
And
And
we
as
certainly,
far as I'm concerned, it's been an abomination the last few years. And nobody has been held accountable. Just like I said a few months ago, everybody that had anything to do with this building, because I think there was a lot of finagling from the engineer, the solicitor, I know he represents council, but you still have to protect the community. And the council, Bob Falls, he hesitated, but he voted on it. Rich voted Dan. Right? Who else we got here? Who? Oh, Mr. Stein.
let's not bring in personal names. We're not attacking people.
I'm only talking about the council.
You're attacking.
I'm not picking on this lady. You guys let Aldridge a couple of years ago get up and bash me in front of a council member. Remember that, Bob? You all sat here while he bashed me and said my name numerous times. I wasn't even there. And there was no effort by council to stop that individual.
Jim, we're going way off tap.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to let people know what is going on in this town.
Well, what's going on is there's been a lot of increases. The health insurance.
Everybody wants to blame it on that.
And insurance policies. But will you let someone else talk?
Got it.
Because you don't let other people talk.
Okay.
You like to ramble,
Yeah.
but you're not letting anyone else speak.
Well, let somebody dispute what I'm saying.
I'm trying to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
I don't need to yell.
I don't either.
So, there's been a lot of increases in insurance alone. What was the increase, Seth?
9%.
9% across the board.
Did we go with the cheaper guy or not?
Excuse me. We did change our insurance carrier. We did save $150,000 a year on that one line item right there, okay? We are looking into trying to save money for the borough. Costs keep going up. Everything goes up, and everyone knows that things increase. Just ask the fire chief. Does it cost more money to run the fire department now than it did 5 years ago?
Yes.
Everything goes up. So
Households cost more.
absolutely it does. And furthermore, the borough is not alone. It costs us more money to operate alone. I'll get to you in a second. It's not fair to say we're not looking out for the best of the borough. A lot of this has been thrown on us, and the majority of us here, we didn't want this building to be done, but we are here. We can't stop what has been done in the past. We need to move forward. We need a lot of things to happen. We need to, and I got to tell you, Seth, the discretionary number that's in the budget, I'm going to let Seth speak to this for 2 minutes, and then we're going to move on. Seth, what is the discretionary number in our budget that we have that before we can move on? What is that discretionary number? We have contracts that we have to pay for police, we have contracts we have to pay for our public works, we have cost of doing business for insurance. What's the number that we have that's discretionary?
Total's about $250,000, $250,000. It would not have an impact on the services that we currently provide.
So the numbers aren't, there's not a lot of wiggle room with any of this. Any of it.
That's right.
There's none.
We have to do what every household has to do. It's a fact that people can't spend as much
So then
as
if
it costs to
if we think like you're doing, then we lay off police officers, we lay off public works people, and we lay off services to the public. Where do you start and where do you stop? Sooner or later, you have to raise taxes to keep the business of the borough operating. And I don't want to pay any more taxes than anyone else here.
It just keeps escalating, Rich.
It does. There's
And
no doubt about
It's
it.
not just the cost this whole thing was a disaster, and it was like the beginning of the end financially, okay?
I'm gonna let someone else.
Okay.
I think one thing that might put the increase in perspective, which I don't believe probably maybe a handful of people in the room know about it, was the COVID money that came from the government that will not be given this year to boroughs and municipalities. And wasn't that like $500,000?
75.
It was
So
$570,000.
That's $575,000 of technically income that came into the borough the last 2 years, which moving forward will not be here. So the expenses didn't go down $500,000, and they went up. So there has to be something that compensates to add that money back into the budget.
And furthermore, you know, we had a surplus of about $700,000 or $800,000 several years ago, which we spent on this building. We spent it on this building. So we put all of our savings and all of our money into getting here. The heck with where we're at after here.
I know that.
So we're stuck with
It
it.
was a big scam as far as I'm concerned.
Well, again, we're not throwing this out to people.
Well, I just
We're
said,
not.
it's done,
we're
it's
not-
done.
it's
Somebody
done.
should be held accountable. You still got councilmen on this group that were all part of that vote. The engineer, I was the one that argued with that group, because that was a crock. Are they Hatch or Chester now, or what? What is the name of the company now?
They're Hatch now.
Okay, so Hatch did this study,
We're gonna move forward.
and the guy from
What would you
Chester,
like, what would you like to say?
somebody got to answer for it.
So, everyone in the community's been here. Steph, is there a $10,000 increase in your salary for next year?
That is what is in the budget, and council has yet to vote on it.
So, how do you guys feel about that?
We're gonna vote on it.
We wanna, you
We're
know,
gonna vote, but let's, I know a little bit about this budget. Okay. A lot.
I'm all ears.
Okay. I'll list you the things right here. So the council, number one, we didn't frivolously just go, let's raise taxes, okay? We're pretty split on this, okay? So, as head of the finance, okay, I was asked by my fellow council members to take a look what we could cut to do no tax increase. I'll go down the list of them, okay? $137,889. That would give us, we take that, we have no operating reserves, zero. Eliminate $22,016. That will eliminate any capital reserves. Eliminate $10,500. You will have no community day, no Halloween parade, no Memorial Day event, and no senior program. Eliminate $15,000. That would take us out of the COG. Also, some of the borough associations. If we don't do a Good Order Conference, which is $1,000, we will lose our banner community designation. We look to do our code book online, which would be $1,800. We could still do it in paper. We could eliminate Commonwealth Consulting, right there, that we've used extensively and helped us get these grants through. That's $25,000. We've had requests for a new website. That's $14,000. We have requests for a new police vehicle. The newest police vehicle is from 2018. That's $55,000. We could eliminate the truck fund. Wow, we've got a few firemen here who might have a little issue with that. We could eliminate the fire department's maintenance we pay for in the trucks. That's $71,860. That's a lot of funds for these guys to raise, is it not? Okay, we could eliminate the MAPS donation for $25,000. We could eliminate the code enforcement software to make it more productive for our code enforcement. That's $5,000. We could eliminate $18,000, not do street sweeping, and be out of compliance with MS4. Wouldn't be a good idea. We could not patch any more roads. It's only $6,000. We could eliminate the paving that is over the contractual commitment, which we have $150,000. We are estimating that contractual commitment that was made at the time, and to be honest with you, right there, we were supposed to do that in 2019 and did not, okay? Tree maintenance, we don't have trucks that go so far up. We outsource that, that's $25,000. We could eliminate the catch basin program, that's $12,000. We could not do the vector jetting, excuse me, and that's $16,000. I'd like to add a couple other things besides the fact that the $575,000 per year has essentially artificially, increased our revenues with COVID. On top of that, not only did we save $150,000 by changing insurance, we also sold 1850 West Street, the old nurses building, for $275,000, also eliminating another $16,000 in insurance, okay?
Correct.
So, anyone who would love to come to the finance meeting every month, I know plenty about finances, what bigger budgets than what's here, okay? I will gladly talk. These are the difficult items that we have to make a decision on, okay? So, to the public, we did not just think this up, okay? We did not, okay? We were very fortunate to make it through this year and stayed cash positive. Last year, we did not, okay? Our bond agency, okay, saw that fact right there and pointed it out, okay? What does that mean to us? They could call our bond, okay? We owe $6 million. They could call our bond, parts of it, okay? They could increase what we pay, okay? So it's very important to stay cash positive, okay? You have to do that. No one's going to lend money to somebody that can't manage finance. Now, there were decisions that were made, okay? Perhaps they weren't the best decisions, but the reality is, contractually, we have a 30-year bond for this building, so, okay? In which,
How much is that a year?
$300,000 a year, multiply that times 30, you're paying about $3 million back on top of that, plus the funds that we spent with the people to do the bond, which are about $160,000, okay? Money's not free, guys, it's not.
Nobody says it is.
Can I say something?
Let him finish.
So,
Let him finish, then you can speak.
I just want you all to understand, I thought we were gonna get to that during the question session, but let's just cut to the chase,
No, Bill, we all appreciate that. But I think if you're gonna raise taxes, I mean, he needs guys, he needs more than one car. I mean, where's the issues? Fire department always needs stuff. I mean, we're gonna raise taxes, I'm 100% for it. But let's make sure we're doing everything to support the people who need to be out there. The police, the fire, EMS.
Right now, we have 4 or 5 cars over 100,000 miles, so we
And
definitely need new vehicles. We definitely need more.
If you're gonna raise it, that's fine. Well, let's make sure we put that money where it needs to go. Let's put that money what's protecting us every day. Because when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you call the fire department, they show up. You call the police department, they show up. You call MAPS, they show up. So let's put that money somewhere where it needs to be.
We are.
Let's not give $10,000 raises out. Except there's nothing against you. You only been there a few months, buddy. Nothing against you. But, I mean, you guys saved all that money. It's December, what? You say 27th, our cop's starting? I came here in January. Everyone remembers it. I came here in January and said, we're short on police. It's gonna take you all year. And you said, no, it won't take us all year. Took you 12 months to get one cop on the street. So what happened to all that money you saved from not hiring any cops?
Overages in the building, paying off $1 million bridge loan. I mean, the list just goes pretty long. I mean,
but you tell them. I mean, honestly, tell the people so they know. I mean, if you don't tell these people, they don't know nothing.
Well, I can tell you what I've known in the discovery since being appointed to council in February of this year. And what I can tell you is the fact there's a lot of undocumented things, okay, right there that we're pulling together. The reality is we had to get through this year, and if you read this book, okay, this document, read the executive session, the part to begin. This tells you what the borough needs to do, what the council needs to do to come up with a strategic plan, a fleet program for reversing things up. Right now, we are, besides health insurance increases, Public Works gets a raise, or police get the raise. Next year, police contract, we need to negotiate police contract this year, okay? Costs are going up themselves. It's that simple, right there. Our revenues are less than our expenses. Basic business, okay? So we can either do one, and I named the ones, and that was all before we eliminated staff members, okay? We could do that. We could eliminate staff members, okay? We could eliminate essentially another about $225,000. You total both of those up, that would be $680 plus $225 right there. But you probably would want to give back some of the stuff like fire truck fund, the maintenance of the fire, the police car, all the other things. So how do you generate more revenue? Well, you either increase taxes or you do what? Sell assets. We sold one asset last year.
Over there,
correct.
You can sell.
We have other assets.
I'm sure I could talk to you buying that one too.
I don't know which one you're.
No, borough building. I'm sure I can. I was trying to get him to buy
Go
that
door to
one.
door and ask every resident if they want that borough building gone.
No.
Because I did it.
But nobody wants their taxes raised either, but we're gonna see the
Nobody
building
wants that
over there.
going gone.
Nope.
So, make up your mind. They don't want your
I
taxes
asked the
raised,
guy, I
but you wanna
asked
have
your guy
a
right
building
here.
sitting over there. It doesn't make any sense, Dave.
I
Makes no
asked your
sense.
guy right here, I said, you wanna buy this building? We'll sell them this one.
They probably will.
No, he said he didn't want it.
Well, they make enough money. I'm sure that will make them a lot of money.
I got one more question. It's a good question. I'm sorry. Okay. I was just curious how much of this building is really finished compared to the total square footage.
I can tell you that.
What's that?
Third floor is not finished. 2/3 of the second floor is not finished.
I know you showed me.
Correct.
It don't even look like the base building is
Well-
down in these areas.
Someone else had a question or a
I
comment?
just wanted to say that, nobody wants to see taxes increase, but I just opened up my gas bill. My gas bill doubled. My water bill doubled. I got rid of cable. I stream now because it's cheaper to stream. I don't know where else I can cut. You know where I work. My pay increase isn't going to be isn't even going to be 3%.
So when you cut your cable bill, right there and go to stream, the borough does get a cable fee and part of our revenue base also.
I cut it. I have to cut bills. I got to figure it out. We have to figure it out.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
So I would also ask that you all abstain from voting on this during the month of December, because yes, you did release this budget. You've been having meetings, but between the time between Thanksgiving and New Year's, people are busy. And I think there are probably people who would have come to these meetings and offered input, but they just didn't know about them, or they learned a day late. I moved to Munhall about 5 years ago, and my house is assessed at $122,000. I pay $5,000 a year in taxes. I could go across the bridge, buy a house for twice the house, and pay the same amount of taxes. I understand that that's the county, the borough, and the school district, but the school district is gonna go up as well with their millage.
They go up every year.
Yeah, they go up every year. So,
Wait till you see the new elementary center that's going in 2025. Things are bigger.
Taxes, low assessment.
I feel like there could be more creative ways for us to go about increasing our taxes. For example, is it truly equitable the way the assessments are done? Like, when was the last time every house in Munhall was reassessed? Like, new homeowners come in, they want to invest in Munhall. There are a lot of new homeowners buying houses, especially during the pandemic, when interest rates were, record lows. But once their house is reassessed and they're paying thousands of dollars in taxes, I question whether I want to stay here. I love the borough, I love being a part of it, but, my money could potentially go farther somewhere else. So, I mean, my suggestion is perhaps put together a committee of council members, maybe school board members, community members, who would work together to formulate some sort of practical, equitable way for everyone to be happy. That's my suggestion.
I apologize for how this snowballed into, each and every one of us is worth more than what we were getting as far as work. I know it was brought up about pay raises, and I didn't need to go into all of that, but basically what she was saying and what is with the taxes, going back to the taxes. I've been working for the same company 30 years. Now, I go in there and I say, hey, listen, cost of living 7%, 13% my taxes went up, but, I need more. Well, my boss don't want to hear that. And they're not going to give me that 13% increase to pay for these taxes. So what we have to do is our poor management, or my poor management, I have to cut back like Lori just said. So, I mean, if there's something that we can, and I appreciate your insight into all that. It's all things that we don't want to lose. We like to put our hands into there. So, but I think there's some way to tighten our belts that we can go on the first increase and see where we are. And I mean, we're all like to have money in the bank. That's supplement. But I just don't see us. We're not in business to kind of create and hold revenue and have a surplus.
I honestly think that the previous council should have thought all this. They sort of put us in this position, and there's no.
They didn't raise taxes for 12 years, is what they said.
There's no way to look and say, what do you do? Where can we go? I mean, the obligations are there. We have to meet the obligations of $330,000 a year for the building alone, for a building that's not half completed, which we know about. And we have to pay $500,000 for a parking lot up above that's not even in Munhall, which is a contract that was thrown at us. There's a lot of things that were predestined before we even got onto council to say, here you go. Start without a borough manager and start without any idea of where and what's been done. So it's not been an easy road. We're just starting to get out of the doldrums of running the town day to day, catching up from last year. So
I do understand.
It's not been an easy road for all the council people here, and I don't know where else to move. Where else can you cut? I mean, go ahead, Rich.
No, I was just gonna bring up, our past borough manager was in contact with a few people to renovate that third floor and to move into the building. So I don't know whatever happened to it, but I ain't heard nothing since this year. So is that still a go, or is that?
No one's been mentioned anything. No, if you're talking about Turtle Creek Valley Authority, they have no intention of moving in there as far as we know. They're contractually 2 years. They have the right to move up there before anyone else. So we're not in the building 2 years, and that's another thing that's tied your hands. You can't use it. You can't go into that there until they agree to it. So these were very foolish mistakes that we did.
What about Chatham? I heard they were supposed to come in there too.
Nobody can do it.
Chatham has not really given us any insight as to anything that they might want to do up there.
It was all BS, is what it was.
It was not.
Still under contract with
Nothing's happened.
Well, nothing's happened.
All the things that the crew told the public, how great it's gonna be, we got plenty of money, we're gonna have rentals, nothing's happened.
Well, why didn't?
Here we are, we don't have enough money,
So,
but they told us we were okay.
So going back to what I said in the start of my meeting tonight, we need to deal with the old municipal building. We need to repurpose it. We need to make it so it's somewhat of an asset, so that it can bring us some sort of a break even over there, because we're not going to lose the fire company there. We can't afford to lose the fire company there. And and we don't want to sell the building. We don't want to have the building knocked down.
What is your break-even amount for over there? Do you know?
Our utilities. So what's our utilities we pay for the year, if we looked at last year? I mean, that would be heating, and we are doing the minimum amount of heating, okay, and the part of the building out there is just the fire department itself. Break even?
It's not a big number. It doesn't cost us a big amount of money there. I mean, you know, but there's got to be some ways that we can move into that building and put some things into there that can help the borough and help the people of the town.
Be a great place for the free store.
Is there asbestos in the building?
There's minimal asbestos in the building and
In the tiles.
in the floors. Also, you know, I thought maybe a daycare center would be nice over there. It could be a community day center. It's, when you carpet it, you cover it, it's not like it's airborne. You know, that was the big problem that the last council sold us, a bill of goods, that's not a safe
Right,
building.
that's what they-
That was
right.
that was a malarkey.
That was said a lot.
That was a malarkey.
I mean, there's a difference between tile asbestos and, you know, piping
It's the
asbestos.
pipe insulation.
Yeah, there's no, visibly, there's no friable
Yeah, it's
stuff
pipe
there. And
insulation.
to answer the question, we're estimating utilities over there with just the fire company are gonna be about $12,000–13,000.
So I can't tell you how many years I fought against moving into this building, but we're here. There's nothing we can do now. We are at this position, you know. Not that I enjoy sitting here. Not one bit. We don't even have a picture on the wall in here. They're all sitting over there.
You didn't make those pictures?
I didn't make them pictures.
I did.
Well, then you come over and help us hang them then.
How long has it been?
So,
We used to come and change name tags for
All
the
I
guys
wanted
that
to say
died.
was you have a young lady here that's in 5 years at the borough, and then you have some lifelong residents that sit in the borough. I'd like to be able to finish out my lifelong residency in this borough.
I would love to see
And
that
I
too.
worry about people on fixed income. I'm soon to probably join them, and I'd hate to see residents, truly residents of the community leave, because probably half of the population, or half of your numbers on home ownership, the other half is pretty much rental.
It's getting worse.
I gave you the numbers.
Well,
I mean, it's
I'm
that's
I'm not arguing on numbers, believe me, I'm not arguing.
But that's the reality of this, okay?
Right.
This, you know, this is a balance.
So we're
between
gonna have
revenue-
Munhall in the name and not a community. That's all I'm saying. If you wanna turn the bend, just reconsider the tax or.
It would make it
going
worse.
marginal. Well, we're not in the business of surplus. That's all.
And the community does a lot for us.
No, what the state, Seth, can you tell the members of the community right there what the state recommends as far as what a borough should have as far as a reserve?
15% of their budget.
Which would be $1.8 million, okay? That's the state recommendation. So if you have a major problem, okay? We got problems, folks, okay?
No
You know,
different
we're
than
here when the
homeownership.
folks from
No
Shady
different
Avenue
than
were here.
homeownership.
Okay? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right there. I mean, so the council will vote, based upon that. I mean, you'll see the motions there. The first motion is for the tax increase. If it doesn't get passed, the budget, we won't discuss the budget, we won't discuss the other things. But, Seth, if the budget doesn't pass, what does that mean we can spend money on starting from January 1st forward?
Only our already in process things, which include utilities and payroll essentially.
Okay? So if you would like some sort of community thing, could we do it?
So I believe we're obligated to pass a balanced budget.
We are.
We cannot pass a deficit budget, and and if we don't pass anything, we cannot spend any money.
So there's legal obligations to pass a balanced budget.
And we're still gonna fix the parks, right?
Pardon me?
And we're still gonna fix those parks?
Yes, $221,000. It's
Right.
$442 we put up front. We're reimbursed $221.
Right.
Yes, that's in the budget.
Okay.
You have to take care of it.
Well,
You know how much money's been spent on 12th Avenue Playground? I can't even tell you how many times. to look at it.
If we don't spend the money, we probably would
Well,
never
we
get
know
money
that.
again.
But you gotta, it's just like Green Street. They sold those fine. And they put meters on the lights, that meant we were gonna save money. And I know some of us said, well, maybe that extra money we should put away so we can afford to buy light bulbs. In Main Street, I know the firemen put the snowflakes up, am I right, guys? Half the plugs are unsafe for the public. It's a public hazard. Am I right?
Ask Dawn.
Don't be afraid, what, are you gonna cut your budget? It's
But right up, you
bad.
can see what's not lit.
Huh?
You can ride up and see what's not lit every year.
It's a
So
mess.
the ones that are not lit, the plugs don't work. Is that what you're saying,
Yeah,
Dawn?
but we have a couple people that can do those little things. Most communities, they'll usually have maybe a guy that has carpentry skills, electrical skills, that you don't have to contract every little thing out. That makes no sense. I don't understand.
Good, Seth.
You'd ask the borough manager.
So we do have public works folks who are capable of doing that, and I believe we bought how many new receptacles to replace?
About 10 this year.
And
It was underground.
for the underground piece, you need a licensed electrician to go in there and do it, and I will not let those guys go in and to replace an outlet and to replace some basic stuff. Otherwise, we risk our insurances, we risk all sorts of other liabilities. This, you know, a lot of people make, and I've heard it, and nothing against you, Don, because you're one of many who makes it, who compares this to our own personal budgets. This is not our own personal budgets. You know, it's like having a very large family, and the fact is that we keep, you know, if somebody would be really crude and say, well, you know, I don't make enough money in my job, go get, you know, the crude answer would be, well, go get another job. The borough can't get another job.
It's been neglected since the day it was done.
You know, and I have held my tongue because I
Paint
think council has done a very good job of explaining where we all came into. And I came in 5 months into the year, I came into a deficit budget where we finished with over $250,000 in debt at the end of last year. We have over $1 million of contractual obligations on top of the bond that were handed to this council and then handed to me as part of that. We are dealing with the effects of it, and it will take a little while to get through it. I am confident, though, in my working with Finance Committee, with Rick, with the rest of the borough, and with the information I've given them, that we can move forward in such a way that, you know, nobody has a crystal ball, but to get past this and start to set us up with a strategy, with a plan, it's in the document. We know where our deficits are. We know what we need to fix. If somebody can give us $10 million, we can fix the borough building. We can make sure all the storm sewers are properly done. We can patch and fix all the roads, and then we still need to maintain them.
I just put a little asphalt.
Yeah, but but that's where we are. The money was all spent
Frivolously.
But
irresponsibility.
But how?
I think the only way you can really satisfy people, somebody got to be held accountable to keep this from ever happening
That's
again.
what you do at election time, though.
Yeah, well, it don't work in small towns.
No,
I know, but that,
We have elected these people.
but we hired a lot of professionals. That's why I point out the engineering firm. And I got in a debate with the engineer because I knew what they were doing. They had Hatch do the borough building, and the little fly-by-nighter engineer did one or the other. But they made the borough building look like a really bad situation. And they made this like this was a golden dream. That's what they did.
Well, we're here now.
Somebody should be accountable. That's all I.
And how could you hold them accountable, Jim?
Huh?
How?
Well, you gotta clean us. You clean us, the ones that were getting paid and were here, did no effort to try to keep it from happening. Okay?
Jim, you're just against
And
the
hopefully an
people that were
election,
in,
then we clean house
You're
again.
just against the people that were in,
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Hey, Rich, I sat in the meetings, and even the engineer couldn't argue
That's
with
why
me.
we don't make personal comments.
I didn't say,
Let's
he's the
move-
one that
Let's
just
move
said
on.
that.
Let's move on.
I'll make one comment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the last comment I'm gonna make about this building, because I agree with Rick, we're here, we need to move on, but people choose to forget, don't remember whatever it is. Same company did studies on both buildings we were deciding, and the study to stay in that old building was almost twice as much as this one. So if you think the costs are much to incur here, it would have been worse if we stayed there.
But, and I was there,
And you remember,
they were supposed to just renovate it, bring it up to code. They come back with a rendering with additions on the back, stuff, I'm just saying,
that's not apples to apples.
but we,
At least you need to go around.
Let's move on. That's a battle we lost.
we got a half-finished building.
Yep. And we have a building that we have to deal with over there too. So we have a lot on our plate. We have a lot to deal with. It's not an easy answer. I mean, there is no easy answers, so.
You just have to give credit to these guys up here who are trying to make Munhall better and trying to keep the budget balanced.
I have a problem with nobody held accountable.
Well,
That's
but.
it. You and your job would be held
But
accountable.
those guys are gone, that voted for this building. They
No, they're not.
They didn't get elected.
I think I'd put my head in shame.
Let's go. Let's move on. We're not bringing the past up.
What do you think about it?
I would,
You want me to tell you?
I would really like to, if anyone else has
I'll
anything
get
else
thrown
they'd
out
like
of
to
the
say.
meeting.
I'm trying to hold a meeting, trying to progress. We all love our town, we all are here for our town, we're not here for personal agendas. None of us up here are. We're trying to move forward, we're trying to make the best decisions that we can for our town. We know they're not easy decisions. I certainly don't want to raise taxes. I don't see any other way out of what we have to get things accomplished, to keep services, to keep a safe community, to keep our town where we have to be. And I hate to say that, but I'm not one that's, you know, for it, but I don't see any other way other than doing that for right now.
I would like to say something to you, Rick.
Well, let's go ahead.
I also would like to say, I just started council a year. I had no idea how bad it was. And it's bad. We'll all attest to this. That motion that's in here to approve, to set the fixed rate at 13.75, that does include another 1.5. Everybody on this entire staff, I can't say this way, going this way, okay? Right now, I feel like what's being said, but I want to say it myself. 1.5 last year, we accepted. We didn't accept, I wasn't in favor of it. But the thought of doing it again, you know, a lot of people, I'm not in that boat yet. But there's a lot of people who can't afford what's going on. And that's exactly it. They're eating cereal 2 and 3 meals a day, people. They can't heat their house. They're walking around with threads on. This is the hardest thing in the world for me to say to all of you. We need to be able to help the police, help the firemen, help the public works, help Munhall, but my God, if there's nobody here, it's such a hardship. It's just such a hardship, so you have to vote how you have to vote, and we're going to have to figure it out. I don't know how else, but every week I do sign checks, and I'm telling you, thank God for this man on my right over here. He's trying. He's really trying. But I feel like you. If I only get 10,000 in, I don't spend 15,000 or 21,000 and say, what am I going to do now? I'll borrow. I don't borrow. But that's my hustle. I just had to say that. Okay.
Thank you, Rini. There's a lot of men to your right.
You're right.
She's talking about Bill.
Oh.
Talking about Bill.
To my right. I said, this man has worked so hard. I meant Bill Ham.
Thank you very much.
I'm very
I thought you were
sorry.
talking about me.
He's there. I mean, he does these figures like.
So, anyone else? Because I'd like to continue the meeting. Everyone has had their fill to say. I mean, I certainly always welcome public comment. So let's move forward. For the items for consideration, motion to pay the bills for period of November 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2022 as summarized, total of $311,013.51. I need a motion.
Motion.
Need a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payroll for the period, that's $311,000, guys. That's a lot of money. Motion to approve payroll for the period ending November 22nd, 2022, November 9th to November 23rd, with a total of $404,652.39. Any questions on that motion?
It's $100,000 a week. It's a lot of money.
I need a motion.
I'm gonna need a second job, I'll come in.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, motion to ratify the vote taken by Munhall Volunteer Fire Departments and appoint Glenn Coles as Munhall Bureau Fire Chief for a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2023.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. And actually, I know I should be asking any questions on the motions, so if anyone has a question, please just spit it out. Or if anyone is opposed, please say they're opposed. Motion to ratify the hiring of Paige Watson as a full-time administrative assistant at the rate of $17 an hour effective December 5th, which she's already started. Any questions? I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Moving on to appoint, Seth, would you give us the 2 names for the Steel Valley Enterprise Zone? Both are currently on the board.
Rob Falls, who's currently the mayor, and Jeff Myers, who's a business person at This Is Red.
To a 2-year term on the Steel Valley Enterprise Zone Corporation Board. I need a, if anyone has a question, I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Motion to approve ordinance 1611, an ordinance by the Borough Commonwealth of Munhall of Allegheny County, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate for the fiscal year 2023 at 13.7 mils, 75 mils, I'm sorry, 13.75 mils. We all have had questions?
Can I ask for a roll call vote?
Sure.
Great. I make a comment?
Certainly.
So, Bill went down the list. Seth sent that list out of all the budget items that we could consider zeroing out to avoid doing this. And I looked at them, and I'd say the vast majority of them were non-discretionary. That things like not giving money to the parade, not doing paving, not doing this, not making street sweeping, putting us in violation. The things that we could have done would not have been enough to offset the tax increase, and that bothers me. And I know that this being the second year in a row of a tax increase, the optics of it are terrible. I don't want to pay more taxes. I'm a single parent. The reality is, and what somebody brought up earlier, we did not raise taxes for the previous 12 years. Maybe that's a testament to the previous councils, of which I was not a member of most of them, but maybe they were doing a good job. Maybe they were flush with cash and they did something well. Or maybe they were just kicking the can down the road, and then sooner or later, the bill came due. I don't know. I'm not casting any dispersions towards anybody, but it's the reality we're in right now. So I would say, Lori even estimated or made a comment about her gas bill's twice as much. I defy anyone in this room to show me not one utility bill you've had that hasn't gone up substantially in the last 10 to 12 years. I guarantee you almost every one of them has damn near doubled in that period of time. So for us as a town to say we don't suffer those same increases of expenses and our revenues stay flat, it's impossible. I also say in that same period of time, 10 to 12 years, all of you have probably gotten at least one pay raise over that time frame. So a pay raise is essentially a tax increase for the town. So I hate the optics of back-to-back rate tax increases, and I really, really hope we don't need to do another one next year. And I think having Seth in place and the work that Bill and other council members have done, I think we're in a good spot that we can avoid that going forward. It's a necessary evil, and that's the best way I can put it. It sucks, but I think it's necessary to keep us on the right path.
Thank you.
Someone make a motion?
No. So, anyone else? I need a motion.
Motion.
Oh, we're gonna, no, excuse me, we had an ask for a roll call vote, so I need a motion for the roll call vote?
We need a motion for the.
Motion and second, then roll call.
Okay,
So we have
all right, so we need a motion,
We have from Hannah.
and we need a second.
Second.
All right, we'd like a roll call vote. Seth, would you do the roll call?
Ms. Fry, how do you vote on ordinance 1611?
No.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Rondo?
Comment on this. I've been to every meeting so far that we've had about the budget and stuff like that and how we can avoid raising the millage and stuff like that. And I will tell you right now that last year, when I was on council and we did vote to raise it 1.5 mils, I will guarantee, and you could go back and look at the videotapes, I voted no. Even though it's really nobody's, I live on a fixed income. This extra $150 is gonna hurt. I'm not gonna eat cat food, but it's gonna hurt. And I'm sure it's gonna hurt a lot of people out there a lot worse than it's gonna hurt me. So I just wanted to make that perfectly clear because I've probably been to every council meeting and planning commission meeting probably for the last 14 years. And it's something like this where you see a lot of people that show up to meeting when something like this comes up. But I've been to the finance meetings and stuff, and there's nobody. Nobody. It's just, it seems like when you get hurt, now you come out. So I just wanted to make that perfectly clear, and I know that I've dealt with Mr. Barca a lot, and I just wanted to make that clear where I stand, and my vote is no for the raise in millage.
Mr. Stein?
Yes.
Mr. Bodadian?
I also would like to make a comment. As far as the tax increase goes, I'd like to see it leave it the way it is for about another 6 months and see where we stand after that and go over the budget and do another assessment.
That's not legal, sir.
That's not legal?
No, it can be done now.
Can't be done.
Once a year.
Okay, then I'll have to vote no for the tax increase.
Mr. Youngkins?
Unfortunately, I gotta vote yes, because I know we need the money to get through. A lot of people know me. I own multiple properties in the borough. I definitely do not want to raise these taxes. But I personally seen myself, and I ran a business. We have no choice, and I'll let you know that I'm in this borough building a few times a week, every week. and it's starting to run like a business, and it's starting to get the good old boys club the hell out of here. It's gonna be a business, and it's gonna be ran right, and I see futures changing in Munhall. I grew up here too. I moved in this town. I went to Park School as kindergarten. So I don't wanna raise it either, but I have to, so.
You voted yes?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brennan?
I vote yes.
Motion passes 4-3.
Okay, motion to approve the 2023 budget as presented. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I got a question about that.
Okay.
So we just voted on whether we wanted the 1.5 mil raise in taxes and stuff like that, and now we're voting on a budget that the 1.5 mil raise was actually included in the budget. So maybe I'm wrong, but I just voted no to a raise in 1.5, but if I do not vote for the budget, we're basically screwed for the new year.
You can vote no.
I can.
You can abstain.
You should.
Can't abstain.
Okay. I'm good. So if I would like to have a roll call vote.
And I always get to be first. I just heard you can't abstain, and Ed Pletcher on this side said you can't abstain.
I don't believe you can abstain from a vote if there's a vote called. I'm just a fire chief. Ask the solicitor.
Okay, let's ask the solicitor.
Lessons learned.
This will be my area. Any person
Please
can
do.
abstain, but you must state a reason for the record. You have to state a reason. Now,
Okay.
council does have the duty to vote on important issues, but no one can compel you to vote. If you want to abstain, you state a reason in the record, that is your legal right.
Okay, so where are we? Back on motion to approve the 2023 budget as presented. And did we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
We did. So,
We have a request for a roll call.
okay.
Ms. Fry, how do you vote on the 2023 budget as presented?
Am I allowed to make a comment first?
Sure.
Okay. I know many of you have brought up the idea of Seth. I thought he was going to talk. I'm going to say to you all loud and clear. Since June 1st, he really has worked his body off. He is doing things that are making us better. I didn't want the tax increase, but I was told that where Public Works got 3% and the police get 2.5%. No, his wasn't that. And all of you know what I'm referring to. I'm just saying, in the business world, I'll just use the words of other people. Sometimes you have to pay for leadership. And $10,000 for what that meant. He saved us $150,000 in salt. He saved us buku money in insurances this year. And God bless him because he is trying, okay? If somebody offered, to save $10,000 and it comes out to $4.80 an hour, I'm sure none of you ever got the $4.80 an hour. But I don't know if you were either in the position that he was when he came in here. We are in bad shape, people. Bad shape. So I'm going to say, I will vote for it. I understand the 10,000 is for him.
It's just,
But it
we
has
sit
to be
here,
the
we
whole.
sit here, we sit right here. You can keep talking, hit it all day long, I don't care. You can't sit here and say, we have financial issues, this, that, and the other, but we're gonna give a person a $10,000 raise. You guys sound dumb when you say that. You can't say we're giving him 10 grand, but we have to stay 1 year.
We're
You can't do
in
it.
the process of voting. You can't interrupt us.
Smack your hammer a couple more times then.
I can ask you to leave.
Do what you gotta do.
Should leave.
can ask you to leave.
Do what you gotta do.
So if you interrupt again, we'll ask you to
Do
leave.
what you gotta do.
So go ahead, Reedy.
And how do you vote on the budget?
I will vote yes, saying it'll probably, hopefully take us ahead.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Ondo?
Okay, so I got something that I'd like to say too. The vote for the 1.5 mil increase, it was already passed. My whole problem is this motion to pass the budget has the 1.5 mil increase already in it. Now, I will tell you that I've been to multiple meetings, and I've spoken with Mr. Abrams, our borough manager. Has he done an outstanding job up until this point? Yes, he has. Do I firmly believe that what he has saved this borough constitutes him getting his raise? I most certainly do. If it comes to where I have to vote on passing the budget because of Mr. Abrams' raise, so be it. But I have a real problem with voting for the budget because the 1.5 mil raise in millage is already in there.
So does that mean we're paying 3%? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, well, then-
No, you're paying 1.5% this year, but it was raised last year, 1.5 mils. Yeah.
The budget was written with the
So,
assumption it would pass.
as much as I hate to say it, and I will take nothing away from our borough manager, our current borough manager. He has done an outstanding job. I have an issue with 1.5 mil raise being added to the budget. That has nothing to do with the raise that he's getting, so I am abstaining.
Mr. Stein?
Yes.
Mr. Bodadian?
No.
Mr. Yunkins?
Yes.
And Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Passes 5-1 with 1 abstention.
Motion to approve the non-union wages as represented in the 2023 budget. And these raises are included in a memo that was sent out to us. They're for the chief of police, they're for the assistant chief. Who else are they for, Seth?
Within the police department, then the clerk,
The police clerk.
the code enforcement officer, supervisor of public works, and myself.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? I need a motion. Motion. Need a second.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
1 nay? Okay, so it's 6-1.
And the reason for that is, may I say the reason?
Certainly.
I voted no against the budget, total budget. And since this is since this is in the budget, I can't see voting for the wages either, which I'm not against. But the certain things that were in the budget originally I was against. So that's the reason why I'm voting no for this motion. Not necessarily against the wages, but against the certain things that were in the budget that I voted no for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any public comments?
Mr. Brennan,
Yes, sir.
I served on council myself for a while, and it's not an easy job, I know that. And Mr. Hannah was appointed in February, I believe. And I really don't know, if everybody here, I don't know Mr. Hannah. We are so lucky to have you. Believe me, I am so impressed with the job he's done, and believe me, he's done a wonderful job, and I hope he continues to do so. Thank you, Mr. Hannah.
Thank you, Mr. Fields.
He's the one that took care of the IT in this building, because none of us knew nothing about IT.
Give him a raise.
Did you say you want to give
You can't
council a raise?
take a paycheck.
Is that what you said?
No, Mr. Hannah.
Oh,
Mr. Hannah can't even take a
It's an
paycheck.
incentive.
he doesn't even take a paycheck.
It's It's an incentive.
All right, so, any other public comments? Any additional items from council?
I got a comment.
Oh, Jesus.
What is the entrance to this building? I thought it was supposed to be
The entrance
upstairs.
is downstairs.
I thought it was
Downstairs?
upstairs.
No, you missed that meeting years ago.
All I know
We
is,
didn't design it.
all I know is we had to have council chambers on this floor because it had the low capacity. And I remember when the building was built. But then we put the community room upstairs, which has the capacity 4 times as many people.
Mr. Barker, what are you trying to say?
Somebody lied. That's all.
I'm trying to say this room.
Any other,
Hey,
any
you
other
could have spent a
comments?
couple bucks and putty the nail.
Any other comments, please?
Guys, look
I
at,
too,
look.
I think Bill's a great guy. I
We
know
spent
Bill, I've worked
millions
with Bill
on it.
before.
Look at that.
He's a
Bill,
great guy.
Bill
I
has
know
done
he's going
so
to-
much work with the budgetary
I know. I know
committee. And Rainey Fry's in the committee as well. And she's been here, Kevin Ondo, Rainey Fry, they sign checks religiously. It's a group effort. But
It's just gonna be hard for us to-
Bill does lead the way
As
for
citizens, it's still gonna be hard.
finance committee. And it is hard.
It's gonna be difficult.
I know that.
He and Seth work hard to, trust me, I keep saying to everybody, I don't have a business degree. I don't. And I just said, this 2023, they keep saying will be a rebuilding year. And trust me, I'm forward.
Mr. Ondo?
You know what, it was really nice for me to look out there and see a pretty decent crowd here. It would be nice from this day forward to have more people come to the meetings and stuff like that. That way, we don't have to show up at a time like this and go, hey, you know, well, what's up with this and what's up with that, where you could be learning this all along. So,
It's hard with everything that everybody has going on.
you know what? And you know what? And here's the thing. I have just as much as everybody else out there, and so does every person sitting at this, you know.
Are they being recorded anymore?
Yes, Dave has to work in the back.
So anyway, thank you all for coming and thank you for speaking up. Thank you.
I'd like to make one So, I'd just like to make one comment that Dave Cassiwork has filmed this video and it will be available for the public to view. Thank you, Dave, for that. And go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. For all of you, I mean, I am just as concerned as anybody about that, okay? But honestly, read the document. Page 6, okay, is really the key thing right there, the things. We're addressing, you know, the issues associated with the water problems we have, okay? That's gonna be a big expense, okay? We're just addressing what's gonna take to do that, okay, this year, okay? The other things right there is we're developing a strategic plan, okay? And some of that strategic plan, you know, is gonna need feedback from the public itself. I mean, some of the stuff is very obvious to run a business. I'll give you an example. Here's another thing Seth is looking into. There is a federal grant available, okay, associated with garbage trucks. You need to have 5 garbage trucks, okay? And essentially, we're beginning the paperwork with community partners, okay? And what that, for us to buy garbage trucks, about 1.6 million, sir, right there. The electrical, the ones that are electric, are about 2.5 million. But we can only have to pay 10% of that, okay? That's an example. We have a fleet, okay? Picture this. It's a business that has cars, it has trucks, it has garbage trucks right there used in the business itself. It takes a lot. And you look at where the revenues are, look where the spend is, okay? Take time, okay? Take time to look at this, okay? I work 55 hours a week, okay? That's my job. I work for UPMC. We kind of build a lot of big places, okay? I'm involved with all those things, okay? I do this right there anywhere 10 to 15 hours a week. Sometimes it's more. I took off time, 3 days of vacation to help put this building online, okay? It's a vacation days. Okay, so please, read the document, come, be involved. right there in reference to it. I mean, that's what it's gonna take to do it. Is the road ahead, okay, there's a lot of tough decisions, okay, to be made. And if you're not gonna increase taxes, you have to increase revenue by doing something else. Okay, attracting more businesses, if we have properties right there that we can sell, okay? And I'm not just talking about the old borough building, okay? I'll be very, very to the point. I did not grow up in Munhall. I grew up in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, okay? So
we don't hold that against you?
We'll forget
you don't hold against you. You should, okay? Right there. So I don't have the same thing, okay? There's some people there, but I respect that, okay? But when you walk out of here, don't forget about this till next year. Pick this up, okay? We have a monthly finance meeting. We go through everything, okay, associated with it. This year, one of the other things that Seth has done, previously, if you look at the chart of accounts, the previous borough manager took a lot of accounts and rolled them up into a smaller number of accounts. We've rolled them back. So we'll be able to have better accountability where the spend is, okay? And naturally, we're gonna have to look at, on a monthly basis, how much overtime is being spent by the police? How much overtime is being spent by Public Works, okay? These are all things right there. And, you know, Mr. Barger, due respect to you, when you're talking about not raising taxes and bringing up things that will run us more money, because some of the infrastructure has not probably had the attention that it's needed to it. I mean, that's kind of obvious.
I mean, our whole time, the infrastructure.
And that's what
roads, curves, catchment, it's drive around, really pay attention.
I see it. So that's what a strategic plan does.
Housing stock and
Okay.
it's.
So another thing right there, as far as talent goes, talent's an important thing for us, okay? And the borough manager leads the council, okay? He does. I speak to him every day. He's probably sick of talking to me, but I speak to him every day about different things, okay? And we talk about a lot of different things, okay? This budget, you know, it was obvious, you know, when we started in, you know, really when it became problematic was the end of March. So not having a borough manager right there hurt us. Some other decisions were made, but, you know, the reality is, right there, it's kind of like, that was last season, okay? We can't replay last season. We have to move forward. Some of the things right there, going into next year, you know, we won't have, you know, we'll be able to put more money into payment, okay? Without a contractual commitment, okay? But we also have most likely increase in healthcare costs again. We will have potential increases in labor contracts and other insurances that we have. We will have on things that are absolutely unknown. The firehouses, we had to repair a roof. We have one HVAC unit needs repaired plus another one, plus some other improvements. You know, the thing is, without having a reserve, you have no wiggle room to fix anything, okay? We can't say on one hand, we want to have the best police department and have them have vehicles that are going into their 5th year, okay? That's the newest one, okay? This is the reality of it, and that's what a finance committee and a strategic plan does, is to go back there and you plan what we're going to do. And how do we plan to do that right there without raising that? Well, we got to sell something, bottom line, okay? And it will become painfully obvious. So, thank you.
Okay.
Sell the sewer room?
Lots of opportunities.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.